Now, we were talking a little bit about how this China issue cuts both ways here. Obviously, it will put a crimp down the road, potentially, on oil prices, maybe inflation in the aggregate. But as Jerry also pointed out, in the near term, it's not doing anything to disrupt that oil price momentum. But the flip side of this, if it does continue, is that it might limit what China can and will do on Russia's behalf, especially when it comes to providing aid, any kind of aid. Forget about military aid, economic aid, something I want to explore with Joe Lieberman, the former Connecticut senator, of course, the former Democratic vice presidential candidate. Senator, great having you. What do you make of that theory that in this environment, awful as it is for China and this, sudden contraction that it's dealing with, not recession, but well off the highs, it's in no place to help Russia right now?
Well, Neil, good to be back with you. I think that's absolutely right. I mean, it's only a few months ago, early in February, about 3 weeks before the Russians invaded Ukraine, that Putin and Xi Jinping met in Beijing, and they gave each other a big hug. It's the closest those two former communist countries have been in decades, and they issued a very stridently anti-American joint communique. Our time was over, their time, certainly not a democratic time, not a time for human rights, was rising. But Russia's invasion of Ukraine has made that relationship, which the two of them said in Beijing had no limits. It made it pretty clear there are limits. And look, there's a fundamental truth here, which is that in Xi Jinping's obvious desire to maintain control of China, 1.4 billion people, all the surveillance and everything else he does, it's not going to really do it unless his economy is producing, and it's in trouble now. China's a great rising power, but it's not perfect, and that's why I think you're going to find, and we are finding, that China has given lip service to Russia over the invasion of Ukraine. They have not actually said it was an invasion. They didn't vote with the rest of the UN Security Council condemning Russia. But on the other hand, they're worried that, for instance, the Europeans, who are an important market for Chinese goods and therefore for China's economy, are pulling back from trading with China because they're allied with Russia, and Russia is now clearly the enemy of Europe. So it's a very interconnected world, and it's true that China's troubles and Russia's invasion actually could combine to make things better for us in exactly the way you have said, Neil.
Senator, are you surprised at this point, speaking of Russia, Vladimir Putin hasn't been overthrown? There are reports, the Wall Street Journal, I think the Financial Times yesterday talked about a number of tycoons and oligarchs who, not across the board, but some are speaking out against the war. Most of them are out of Russia saying this. They're not saying it within Russia, but be that as it may, it is not put Putin at risk yet. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, he has enormous control of the apparatus of government. He also cleverly appeals to the nationalism of the Russian people, who a lot of whom have felt that Ukraine, as he feels, should be part of Russia. On the other hand, thousands of Russian soldiers are dying, and that's causing problems. The difficulty that the Russian invasion of Ukraine has brought to the Russian economy is also causing him difficulty. But to really take out Putin, you would have to have somebody close in who he trusts to turn on him and do that. And that would take a lot of courage. Talk about nationalism, patriotism. That would take a lot of guts.
It would. It would. Senator, great catching up with you.
You too, Neil. Have a good weekend.
You too, my friend. Joe Lieberman, the former Democratic vice presidential candidate.